Welcome to Returning, a podcast to return to the wisdom within. I'm Rebecca Campbell. Thank you for returning. I am here with my lovely friend, Dr. Deborah Egerton, and we are at your house in Philadelphia, my first time here. And I wanted to have a conversation with us all together about the Enneagram, which has really changed my life. And it is literally such a huge part of your calling in life. So can you tell me, just for people who are like, the Ennea, what? Like, what is the Enneagram and why is it so amazing?
Well, like you said, Ennea what? And the Enneagram is really, it comes from an ancient symbol that predates Plato. The symbol is that old. However, what we're talking about when we talk about studying the Enneagram, it is a study of the personality archetypes, 9 different personality archetypes based in sort of ancient, I would call them spiritual traditions and modern psychology. So those two got married and created the Enneagram. And it is a wonderful, I almost feel like when I call it a tool, I'm disrespecting it. Because it's so powerful, and it is really the operating manual for yourself that you wish you had been born with, and really that you wish you had the day you gave birth to your children. And it's got its blueprint to your soul. It really helps you to understand the way you show up in the world. And that is so powerful. But I teach it as energy because we are all energy. That's what we are. We're made up of energy. And we have one of the 9 different archetypes. One of those is dominant. But we have all 9 of the energies within us. One of them leads. It's the default, the home base, what we always return to, and what we start from.
Amazing. And I remember when I first became aware of the Enneagram, it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, did you? I assume you must have had, because you were a psychotherapist and then you were called.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was very interesting because as a psychotherapist, I've spent a lot of time, really in deep presence with people that I was trying to help and holding space and love and compassion for them. And yet somehow, Rebecca, I felt like there was something missing, and it would touch my heart. I would want to help them find a way to continue doing the work, and I prayed about it, and I said, I need something else. I mean, I know that you've given me the education, the skills to be able to work with people, but when they walk out the door, I'm not there with them. I wish there was some way that I could help them to continue their journey, and particularly after they stop seeing me. I got on what was then internet, and I started looking up different things, and I stumbled across the Enneagram Institute. And
which you're now?
Well, actually, the International Enneagram Association, I'm now the president of.
Oh my God.
Which is so funny.
Of course.
I just, the series of things in life that lead you down a certain road. But I'm not what you would call a spontaneous or impulsive person. My actions are usually pretty well thought out. But I saw this Enneagram Institute thing, and I was like, oh, wait, I was living in Maryland. They were having a training in Pennsylvania, where I am now. And I got in my car, and I
just knew you were meant to be there. It was like a soul appointment.
Just went. And I stayed for a week, and I took their part 1 training, then part 2, part 3, master training, all of it, because I recognized that the more I studied this, the more I understood myself.
Mm-hmm.
The more I understood myself, the more my relationships began to change.
I love that. And because I think for me, why the Enneagram, I'd done so much work on understanding who I was. And so it was amazing to see, oh, that is who I was. But I already knew that.
Mm-hmm.
The thing for me that has completely changed my life with the Enneagram is relationships.
Yeah.
And I'd become aware of the Enneagram. I thought I think I was raised, when I was younger, I was more of a 3, but really I'm a 4. I would definitely identify as on point 4 now, which is the individualist. But my friend Holly Holden, who we both are dear friends with, she was also at point 4. But then her husband, which is also our friend Robert Holden, is point 3.
Correct.
And my husband Craig is point 3.
Right.
And so it was amazing because they're obviously, like, I would see them as like Enneagram experts. And I learned so much about the 4-3 dynamic of relationship from them.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that knowing your types in relationship actually brings more humor to it. So, like, for example, Craig and I, 4 is all about authenticity, right? And so it's hard for a 4 to fake it. Whereas I know my husband, he just wants praise.
Yeah.
And I know that him and Robert like would joke about that, about like, you just need to do it. Like, you don't even need to believe it. And it's so hard for me to do, but I try it and we joke about it. And so every now and then I'll just be literally like, go like this, well done. Oh, that's amazing. And I see what happened and I find it hilarious that you're able to like extend yourself more. Or I noticed that. Yeah.
True. Well, and it even goes beyond the extension to a place of deep compassion. Deep compassion. Because when you understand your own operating system and you understand the things that take you to a place of joy or pain or suffering or sorrow, then you recognize that your partner or any person that you love also goes through the same thing, but maybe they're doing it in a different energy. It's different.
Yes.
And that is huge. And you're spot on when you say, that it brings more laughter, more lightness to it.
Yeah.
Because I'm a 1, Jane, my husband, is a 9.
Yeah.
And much like you, notice 3 and 4 next to each other, and 1 and 9 are also right next to each other. And there are so many little things that I can think of that used to just piss me off. There's no other way to say it. I was like, good Lord, why do you have to do everything the same way? This little routine that you have, it just drives me nuts. Now I look at his little routine and I laugh. It's like, my honey's off his routine and I need to leave him be until he gets it all organized the way he needs for it to go. And I can just kind of chuckle because I know in the next 24 hours it's going to be fine because he'll have reordered himself and gotten right back into his groove in a way that works for him. It's so important to understand that we don't all think the same way, that we don't all emote the same way. We don't have the same way of moving through the earth.
Yes, but having a language or system to be able to, like we were just talking before where I said, I recognize because I know the 4 can go into shame, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I'm very aware of that. I can see that through my life and I can see where sometimes when I go into that shame spiral, it can take me out for ages. And there was that time just recently where I outed myself, but it was because I had a language to say, hey, I could go into shame here, because I'm a 4. I mean,
Right.
you are also the
Right.
Enneagram
Right.
expert, but I could say it to several of my friends who are aware of the language of the Enneagram, which I also did. And so I was able to say help before I go into this.
Right.
And so it's this
Right.
common language in relationship. And so, like, from your experience, obviously, we even have our publishing house who I know you have coached a lot of them as well, and Robert has too. So everyone knows that Enneagram types. I remember once everyone was like really aware of the Enneagram, I used to go into these marketing meetings or book cover meetings and feel like I was being this high maintenance perfectionist because I cared so much about the way things looked.
Right.
But then knowing that they understood the Enneagram, I then finally went into this one meeting and everyone knew that 4s value beauty, and that's the gift of the 4 too.
Exactly.
And so I did this full-on presentation, like a 3-slide presentation before we got to what we were actually doing, saying why beauty is important to me and why it's my medicine and act of devotion. Ever since then, no one has ever accused me of being difficult or high, because they know it's the gift.
It's the gift, correct.
And this is amazing.
But it's wonderful that you know that. And my heart literally hurts for the individualists, the creatives in the world who value and hold beauty. And it's at a cost. Because part of where the creativity and the beauty comes from is the fact that they can also hold the suffering, the pain, and they transmute it into beauty. If you know to do that.
But you need to know to do it. And I think it also helps having people around you who can help you, to remind you to do it when Holly and I talk about the 4 going into doom. And even Kyle and I, because we really like various different female artists. We love going to music concerts and we tend to love 4s. And we just text each other, go, do you think she's got the doom? And if she's got the doom, we know we're going to love her because they're transmuting it.
Exactly.
But let's talk about, because I know what it's like when you're early on in your spiritual journey, or you find a new modality or something and you're like, oh my gosh, this is such a great tool. And then you can feel like, I just want to convert everyone in my life, which it's not the thing. So what do you do if you have a community? Is that what that supports people with?
Absolutely. One of the reasons that
authentic self
community. And what we do is people come together. We make sure that they have found themselves in the right energy of the Enneagram. And also a lot of emphasis is placed on understanding the other 8 energies that are also in you, but one leads. But what's really powerful is, if you're out there in the world and you stumble on the Enneagram, you start to study it, you discover you're a 4, and you don't know anybody else to even have that conversation with. I really wanted to create a community where people could come together with people of their own type so that they could go more deeply into discussion and understanding of the way that they move through the world. And for people who already knew the Enneagram really well, instead of beating their friends and their partners over the head with, you've got to learn this, they could bring them into the authentic self community as well and let them learn and have their own journey. One of the saddest things is that the Enneagram journey is so fascinating, and everyone's journey is unique and it is individual and it's your own journey. And so we make the mistake of hijacking people's journeys by telling them what type they are, what they should or should not be doing, or what they should or should not be learning or reading. People have to really go on their own journey but it's nice to have some guidance.
Mm.
It's also nice to do it in community where people are sort of supporting your journey, but still allowing it to be yours.
Mm-hmm.
So creating the Authentic Self community is something that I wanted to do because I wanted it to be a forever thing.
Mm.
You know, I want people to always have that place where they can come and they can gather and they can learn from each other and they can, well, a beautiful example in one iteration of it before I broadened the scope of it and wrote the journals for each of the types. During some really traumatic times, like January 6th in the United States, I had the whole community together. We were just together online. And the thing is that it's not that everyone is like-minded. In fact, I don't want a like-minded community. I want people to be able to have diverse opinions and thoughts and feelings about things, and for us to still be able to discuss that. And when we discuss it through the lens of the Enneagram, we really go to a much more profound level of understanding one another. It's just, I've been married 43 years, and there were the
and you have an amazing marriage.
I do. I'm married to such an amazing human. And I'd say the first 20, it was without the Enneagram. And the last 23 has been with the Enneagram.
So tell me about the difference.
Night and day.
Really?
Just night and day. We're two people who love each other. We don't have a lot in common, which is interesting. He's a sports fanatic, and you'll find me on any given day curled up with a book. But what we had that held us together was that we know that we were sort of assigned to each other.
God put you together.
Yes, we definitely have. There's 3 of us in that relationship. And that is what sustains us and really held us together in those earlier years. But after we discovered the Enneagram, we had a language and a way to meet each other's energy that we had never experienced before. And we had so much compassion for each other. I would look at him at times when 9s are famous for just sort of detaching and disappearing. And I would take that personally. It's like you don't do that at work. You're talking to people. You're this wonderful person on the outside, and then you come home and you just want to go to your little cave. And I really want to talk to you. And now I understand that the energy of the world can be very draining to 9s because they want peace. And it's hard to find peace in the world. And so he would come home to me, and the expectation was that I would be that peace for him. So I'm standing at point 1, wanting perfection. Wanting, and what perfection through my eyes, and perfection is I'm lighting candles on the table, and the table is beautifully set.
And your table is immaculately, beautifully set, I must say.
It's so funny. And we don't even eat there anymore.
They don't. I've been here. We've just gone out for dinner. The table is
set. It's beautiful. And so I'll have the music playing in the background, and I'm going to create this piece.
This is why I like you so much, I think, Deborah. It's perfection.
But perfection to him was going into his cave and kicking off his shoes and, easing back in his chair, watching some TV, not having to listen to anything about what's going on in the world, and not this, discussion of what we need to do about what's happening in the world. I'm always looking at how can we make the world a better place.
Yeah.
At point 9, he doesn't want to have that discussion.
That's work.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
He wants to look at something that's going to make him laugh and feel comfortable. And I understand that now.
Yeah.
I understand it.
So, because that's clear. It's clear seeing you guys together. But, like, where, obviously I assume you were called to the Enneagram first.
Yes,
like, what did that look like? Like, did you try and, like, push it on him at first? Or was it a you thing then him? Because I know it's like he's in it now.
Here's what's fascinating, and I'm very grateful that you asked that question, because I think that what is not understood is you cannot bring someone to something until they're ready.
Yeah.
And Russ Hudson, who was not only my Enneagram teacher and mentor, but is now, like my best buddy in the world. And Russ would warn us when we would finish like a week-long training. He'd say, be gentle with yourself. You're going back out into the world. It's going to feel a little harsh. And don't go running around trying to convert everyone to the Enneagram. People will come in their own time, but they're not going to do it if you try to push them. And so I remember when the first class that I went through, I called Jean on the phone and I said, I was crying because I had figured out that I was type 1 and I was devastated.
I think that's actually the best way you found your type. Yes. You're like, I am not that.
I'm not self-righteous and I'm not judgmental and there's no way I'm a perfectionist. Look, I've got a broken fingernail. I'm not a perfectionist. And so I called him and I was sobbing and he said, honey, what's wrong? And I said, well, I don't know if I've just discovered the best thing that I could ever discover or if I've entered a cult. I was so upset. And so by the time we got to the end of the week, I realized it was not a cult and that I had just been given a mirror to look at myself in a way that I had never seen myself before. And
because it is a bit harsh, especially at first. Like, yeah. I saw, how people say when they die, they're dying, they see their lives flashing in front of their faces. Well, for me, what happened, because I stand at point 1 on the Enneagram, I saw all the ways that I had tried to improve or help people to be better, particularly the people that I love. And through the lens of the Enneagram, I could see all the ways that I might have hurt them. Right. So it's really looking at the shadow, isn't it? It's painful.
It is very
painful.
It is. And,
but that pain is there.
Well, the pain is there anyway. Yeah. And the reality is, it is so much better in terms of adding quality to your life to understand not only your pain, but to understand someone else's pain.
Yes.
And you don't have to compare. I'm in more pain than you are. No, we call that pain Olympics and nobody wins.
Yeah.
It's people have different things that cause pain for them. Yes. And, some of them we don't even see because that's not painful for us. It's just like you said with Craig and with Robert, just give them some praise, For me, I don't really need your praise. Yeah. But I do want you to kind of roll up your sleeves and do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's just like it may be hard, but we can do this. We can make this better. And if you're a person that needs the praise, if you're a 3, I'm going to let you go and get the achievement award for making the world better. Yeah. I don't care if I don't get that. I just want it done, you know? And so understanding that level of motivation, and that's what makes the Enneagram different from other personality assessments, because it really helps you to understand why you do what you do.
Yes. And then I think it's also how to transmute that energy when you feel it.
Right.
Because I know earlier in my life when I felt the big feelings and the grief, and whether it was mine or someone else's or what, I'd get stuck there or kind of project it onto the outside world around me and didn't know how to get out of it. And sometimes I do still get stuck in the bigness of the feelings, but I've learned to use writing. Like all my books, the best writing I've ever written has either been like Rise Sister Rise, the poem Rise Sister Rise I wrote to my friend who was in a really difficult position, and I was feeling so much grief for her, and I'm just like, I have to do something to transmute it. How can I make it better? How can I see the beauty in this? But then same thing with me, the best writing I've ever done myself is writing to that hurt part of myself, or asking God or Mary or the Great Mother to help me get through this. How can I get through this?
Absolutely. Well, I have to say that really that is how, well, the first book that I wrote, No Justice, No Peace, really, but it's no justice and no, with a K. Know what justice is, know what peace is. I wrote that through the lens of the Enneagram so that people could see how they are either contributing to all the divisiveness that we have in the world, and if they wanted to not do that, if they wanted to bring us all together, what that work would look like, so that you could actually look at yourself from each Enneagram type and see whether or not you are an ally and an advocate and trying to unite the world, or whether you're actually someone who is contributing to the energy of keeping us all divided and separated. And I think that that's really an important thing for us all to work together to try to get to unity. Nobody's leaving the planet voluntarily. We're really going to have to become much more focused on learning how to love each other. I often say, people don't recognize that we got stuck at the word, at the place, in the energy of tolerance, because it was a first step. Tolerance is better than hatred and, actually exiling people. But tolerance is not really acceptance, and it's not inclusion. It's not the warm embrace of love and you are my sister. There's nowhere place where I end and you begin. We're just connected. You and I have a really deep, loving connection. That's not tolerance. No. So, No Justice, No Peace was written from that perspective.
It's such a good book, by the way. You definitely go and read it. It's a deep dive.
But that's when I realized I needed to write Enneagram Made Easy. And because people would get No Justice, No Peace, is like, whoa.
Fours and ones love that one.
Exactly. So, and fives. I think
and five. Five.
They love it as well. But Enneagram Made Easy is written, I say that, I believe that what I love most about having written that was to be able to put it into language that the everyday person can understand. When you go deep into the Enneagram, you recognize it's a bottomless well, and your capacity to understand different concepts about the Enneagram will deepen, but you have to have somewhere to begin. And so I wrote it to try to make the language understandable, and also for people who know the Enneagram well, to have a way of explaining it, to people that they were trying to bring along. And like I said, don't beat them over the head, but just leave it on their kitchen counter and walk out. You know?
So good. Yeah.
Walk away.
And I think your journals as well, which are like, there's obviously 9 because there's 9 types. I love that. I'm just going to do a journal. Actually, I'll do 9.
Yeah. Why not?
But yeah, I've got the 4 one, obviously, and it's just such a good resource to kind of really uncover those patterns and those spirals that we kind of go into, and how to transmute it. And so for anyone who is like, I want to find my type, or I know my type, but I want to avoid converting everyone in my life, what would you recommend?
I have a quiz on my website, deboraheggerton.com, and I'm sure we'll have a link to that. And, you can take the quiz and hold the results lightly.
Yeah.
Because in reality, I do not find tests and quizzes to be the best way to find. Some people are fortunate enough that they land right on their correct type. And a lot of people who have taken this particular quiz say, that's me. However, the best way to really learn about your type and to know that you've landed in the right space is to be in community.
Yeah.
And so, like I created the Authentic Self community for that reason.
Yeah.
And we come together and we meet once a month. We have another sort of pop-in session that happens also during the month. We have different activities. We have movie nights where we identify different characters.
That's so good.
It's so much fun.
That will be fun.
And the community has the freedom to create their own community inside the community. So they meet up themselves.
Yeah.
The ones want to be with the ones, and the 9s want to be with the 9s. And sometimes people want to go to the space where their growth line is, or where their wing is, these different things that they don't understand or know enough about yet. Yeah. And that's open for them to do as well. But what it is doing is bringing people who love the Enneagram, or are new to the Enneagram, or have studied the Enneagram for a long time. It's giving them the opportunity to be in a community together, and to learn and grow together. And my intention is for it to never go away. So, there will be people in there that have been there for 20 years, and there'll be people just opening the door.
And so where can people find out about that?
It's on my website. Yeah. And if they go to deboraheggerton.com, the Authentic Self community shows up. It's always a good thing to get the journal and jump on board, because we use the journals to, go deeper and deeper into our Enneagram sort of wisdom and knowledge and experience.
Amazing. And then I'm going to put you on the spot here, because we normally end each podcast with what I call a soul inquiry, which is really like a journaling prompt. Can you give us one that might encapsulate what we covered today, or even just whatever comes for you?
What comes in this moment how am I showing up in the world, and how can I make a difference?
Say it again.
How am I showing up in the world, and how can I make a difference?
Beautiful. Thank you so much for being with us today, and wishing you a wonderful day, and see you again in the next episode.